Tom and I are on our way up to the Capay Valley to Full Belly Farm, a beautiful organic farm that I've blogged about before. It's where I get my wheat berries for making bread. And I have been looking for a long time for organic mulch, either straw mulch or rice mulch, rice straw, wheat straw. And it's really hard to find, harder than you'd think. It's harder to find organic straw than I thought. And this is what I use to mulch the tomatoes. And then I had an inspiration that the place where I get my organic wheat berries, maybe I could also get organic wheat straw. And sure enough, they had some that they're willing to just give me. And that's exciting. So we're headed up there, and I thought you'd want to come with. It's going to be a beautiful day at the farm. Do you think it's feeding time? Hi. I'm sorry I don't have anything for you. Bye, chickens. Goodbye, Compost Tea. Tonight's the night. It's gonna be alright. At least we hope it's gonna be alright. Okay. Time for the new chickens to go up with the old chickens in the house. Alright. There's one. Everybody's up. 2 roosts. Everybody's up. Good night. It's quiet out here right now. These 4, the old 4, are sort of staying over here, and the new 2 are just kind of hanging out over here. This one's acting like she owns the place. No sweat. That one's eating food from the top of the feeder because I think she's afraid to come down. I don't know. Oh, there's another beat down. Just a little one though. Like, hey, 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 hey. Move along. Move along. Move along. That's Goose making that honking noise on the top. Goose has not come down off the top of that thing for a while. You know, as I'm mulching all the tomatoes, I'm thinking about our visit to Full Belly Farm yesterday and how when you see a farm, and Full Belly Farm is not a huge farm, but they provide CSA boxes to hundreds of people throughout the Bay Area, so it's a large-scale farm. Or I guess you'd call it a medium-scale food production farm. It makes you realize how small our little farm is, and we call it a farm because it's more than just a home garden. I mean, it's bigger scale than just a home garden, a little vegetable patch or two. We have a lot of property in food production. Most of our property is in food production, but we're nowhere near the scale of Full Belly, and we don't have acreage. We have about 7,000 square feet here, which is not even a quarter of an acre, I don't think. So it makes me newly appreciative of how hard those people work at those full-scale production farms. And it's one of the reasons we call Poppy Corners an urban farm. It's not really urban, it's more suburban, but it's also not just the size of a home garden, and we're not really feeding anyone but us. So when I call it an urban farm, that seems like the right moniker for what we're doing here, which is small-scale food production, which could possibly be feeding more than one family, but really doesn't. Just feeds our family, and with gifts to a lot of other families, and with enough food to put by for winter. Probably this is the kind of farm that most people had. Like, I think of farmers, say, in the Midwest who grow corn or soy as their main cash crop, but then they probably have a half acre or so in food production for their own family. And we're doing that, not the cash crop part. We're doing that on a smaller scale. I don't like to call it a hobby farm because it isn't a hobby, really. It's not something that we go away and come back to. It's everyday life for us here. But we both have jobs during the day, and for Tom, that's his job at City College, and for me right now, that's school. And so we're not doing this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're doing it whenever we can. But we are trying to feed our family, so it is a farm. It's just a very small farm. And I guess that's why I call it an urban farm. Anyway, don't these tomato plants look great? This is a hybrid paste tomato called Tyron, and it's doing great. Most of them have started blooming. Well, probably about half of the tomatoes. I think I have 39 or 40 plants, and half of them have started blooming. And the others are just starting to get little buds. It's exciting. Okay, we're gonna try and make some compost tea. We got an aquarium pump. This one's good for 30 to 60 gallons, and we're gonna be making 5 gallons, so we think that's enough. So this is an air pump, an aquarium air pump. And then we got a bubbler, or an air stone, that attaches to hose. We're gonna use this, and we're also gonna use some soaker hose to make, like drip hose.
Right.
To make another one, so we'll have 2 bubblers in the water to aerate it. And we need a bucket of, so you need non-chlorinated water. So you either need to use water that you've collected in a rain barrel, or you need to get tap water and let it off gas for a good day, meaning just let it sit out for a day. Or you can put the bubblers in the water and bubble away the chlorine that's in our tap water, which would kill the good microbes. So you don't want chlorinated water, you want clean water. So you could use purified water. We're just gonna use water from our rain barrel, which came off our roof. And I need to get some worm castings. And we need the bucket. So let's see what we can get going here. I wanted to show you that I got some worm castings out of the worm bin, and there's beautiful worm castings here. And there's baby worms all through it. Worms, worm eggs, baby worms. So this is going to make great compost tea. Worm casting tea.
Real quick, let's talk about the things that came with the aquarium pump. It actually came with some hosing to begin with, so that's handy. Don't have to buy any more of that. And it also came with these little tiny aerating stones. Again, I think we're going to use this big one that we got. And also, I'm going to rig up some of the drip line hose. And just kind of check that out and kind of compare and contrast to see how that works. The kit also came with these check valves, These check valves are going to be good to make sure that when we turn the pump off, it doesn't suck water back into the pump. The only thing you have to watch out for, so these check valves allow fluid to go through in only one direction. The other thing you just have to pay attention to is which way is out. So take a look at that.
I'm putting in, with the worm castings, into the bucket of water, a little bit of molasses, about a quarter cup for 5 gallons of water. Unsulfured would be better. I don't happen to have any unsulfured, so I'm going to use this. And what this does is it feeds all the microbes and the bacteria. I'm also going to put in a little fish emulsion to do the same thing, just a splash. And then I'm putting the worm castings in a cheesecloth, and I'm going to wrap it up into a little bundle and tie it off, and that'll go in. The air is going to aerate the whole thing, bubbling up, giving it lots of oxygen, which makes the microorganisms rapidly reproduce. So that's why you need air. It's just like compost. You need an aerobic system, not an anaerobic system, so that you're getting all the good stuff going. I've got about, I don't know, 2 cups of worm castings in this little cheesecloth pouch. You could also use finished compost. I just knew that I had some beautiful worm castings, so I'm going to use that, which is also compost. Worm castings is basically the compost that went through the worm, right? And all the stuff that went through the worm and came out as poop. So you can put everything loose in the bucket, but then you'll need to strain out the dirt after so you can spray it. So I'm going to put it in a cheesecloth to make it easier. Right in the bucket. All right, here's our bucket. It's got fish emulsion in it, and it's got molasses in it, and it's got unchlorinated water in it, and that pouch is the compost. We'll put that in after the air stone. So first we'll put in both the air stone that we bought.
Right. And we'll put them in one at a time just to see what this is all like here.
Okay, so this is the air stone. And it goes on the bottom. Is it on? And it's on.
Yep. Yeah, this is all plugged in here.
So let's see what that does.
That's pretty good air.
That's good air, but we can make even more air with the second hose, which is just a drip line.
Right. I've got a little weight on here that it is kind of jerried up so that it sinks.
That's putting out air too.
Mm.
Well, once we put the compost on top, will it stay in? Or I guess that won't be heavy enough. I don't know.
Well, what I can do is just wrap this stone around it.
There. That's a good amount of air. Okay, let's put the compost in. The sachet. And now we're going to let this bubble for 24 hours. At least. You can go up to 72 hours as long as the air is still running. How much have we spent on this? Well, we had a bucket. We had unchlorinated water. We had cheesecloth. We had worm castings. We had fish emulsion. We had molasses. We had hose, so drip hose. We had other hoses. So all we had to buy was the one air stone, the one bubbler, and the pump. And altogether it was about 20 bucks, 22 bucks. So pretty cheap considering we can use it again and again and again and again. The new chickens, I put these guys up here before we went to the concert, and they've been up here in the hen house ever since with their own food and water. And boy, they've been making a mess. They haven't laid any eggs today, but I'm not surprised. It's been a stressful day. And so I wanted to just briefly talk about why I went to so much trouble to get organic straw mulch for my tomatoes. So about a year ago, I started reading and hearing news about persistent herbicides in both straw and in manure. Why should we care about that? Well, say you go to a farmer to get cow manure and that farmer has given those cows antibiotics. When you put that into your compost, that manure breaks down and those antibiotics stay in it and go into the compost, excuse me, and it kills all the good microbes you're trying to create by making compost. The same thing with straw. You put straw mulch with herbicides in it on your beds, they can actually kill the plants. Or, if nothing else, the herbicides can leach into your soil and kill all the microbes in your soil. So I didn't want any of that stuff. You know, the more I do this and the more I try to be regenerative, I can never say that word. I hear it in my head, but I can never say it out loud. You know what I mean. The more I try to be that way, the more I try to keep all of everything, control what comes onto my property. And there are some things I just can't make enough here. I just can't make enough compost here. Our property isn't big enough. I can't make enough of our own mulch. It's just impossible on such a small scale. So I have to bring in stuff from other places. And that means I have to be really conscious about how it's being produced. And I was so glad to talk to Full Belly and find out that they had what we needed. And as I'm putting it on the garden, I'm seeing that there's a lot of weed seeds in it. And I don't mean weeds, I mean cover crop seeds. So when we were there yesterday, we saw them growing acres of cover crops, which is fabulous. I mean, it feeds the fertility of the soil, it feeds the fertility of the ecosystem. The pollinators love it. There's nothing bad about growing cover crops. They're the greatest thing ever. It's what I do here. But it's hard to keep those seeds out of your crop. And so there's going to be seeds in the straw. And that's again, it's not getting rained on. It probably won't sprout very much. If it does, it'll sprout from the bottom where it touches the soil and gets the moisture there. But listen, weed seeds I can pull out. I can control that. I can take those out. I can't do anything about the herbicides. Once it's here, it's here. So I'm trying very hard to control all that stuff. I don't want that stuff on my garden. So I'm trying very hard to control it. And I think it's important that we all try very hard to figure out where everything comes from, where our food comes from, where our seeds come from, where our soil comes from, what's in it, how it was made. If we can't make it all ourselves, which a lot of us can't, what's the health of what we're bringing in? So that's why I did it, and that's why I think it's really important. So today was a busy day with the chickens and the compost and the straw, and tomorrow we'll check on the compost. We'll see if the chickens are starting to get along. And it's going to be another beautiful day, hot day here at Poppy Corners. See you tomorrow.
This little goldfinch is by the coop, just sitting here. So it must be injured. So I'm going to pick it up and see what I can do. Picked it up and it flew away, so that's good.
So here's what's happening with the chickens. They kind of come out a little bit and explore, and then they go up here and hang out up here. This one sounds like it has a cold, which is weird. You sound sneezy. Are you okay? This whole integration thing is very slow. But this one, who am I calling Goose, is very brave. You're very brave. Here's the compost tea 24 hours later. It looks great. It's all frothy. So I've sort of missed my window. You need to spray this on, if you're going to do a foliar feed on your plants, you need to spray it on either in the morning before the sun comes really high in the sky or in the late afternoon as the sun is going down. You don't want it on your plants, on the leaves when the sun is high in the sky, because it can act like the drops of water apparently focus the sun's light and can hurt your plants. So you want to do it either early morning or late afternoon. So I'm going to wait and do this tomorrow, but it's looking really, really good. I'm pleased with this process. This weekend has been fun, but a little bit stressful with integration of the new chickens. I just keep thinking that people do this all the time. Unless they're killing all their chickens and getting all new chickens, people do this all the time. So it's got to work out. That's what I keep hoping anyway. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next weekend.